Hello again, and welcome back to Illegally Cited. This is Jesse, aka BGFH, and I'm back for another channel update and just some kind of games and technology and accessibility updates as well. So, diving right into it here, I can't believe it's the middle of May already. Almost, anyway, as I'm recording this, the middle of next week will be the middle of May. It just, I blinked. It was May 1st, and it seems like I blinked and it's already the middle of the month. I just can't believe how fast this month and year are going. It's insane. That being said, there's a lot been going on the channel lately. About a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, I did a really cool video did a commentary of this Seeing VR tool that's in development from Microsoft, and they're working on it through the Unity engine. If you have any passing interest in game and VR accessibility, watch that video because there's some really, really cool stuff in there, and I want to play with this thing like yesterday. It just looks insane. And the thing is if it would be supported through these VR dashboards and, stuff beyond the Unity engine, a lot of these tools would potentially, if they could become somehow standardized as tools that could just be put into VR interfaces that developers could just kind of snap in as an API, it would solve so many of the problems and issues that I've discussed and that I've demonstrated in my VR accessibility videos. So definitely check that out. I had a lot of fun watching and recording that one. I've had some accessibility videos, a couple of games that were on iOS and PC for totally blind, accessible to totally blind players. I actually did finally upload a channel trailer. So if you're new to the channel and check out that trailer, it's just a short little video describing what Illegally Cited is and what kind of things you can find here and how to contact me if you're interested in doing like a podcast interview or game consulting. If you're interested and have questions on game accessibility and making your game or VR app or whatever, making it more accessible, check that out. And please feel free to contact me. Be interested in chatting. So, and I also have a couple of Mortal Kombat 11 videos. I got a spotlight video and a couple of mixer archives for it. Both of the mixer archives cover the story mode. So if you're interested in, if you want to see basically the best of the best as far as how to do and just absolutely crazy story mode in a fighting game, look no further than Mortal Kombat, because starting with Mortal Kombat 9 and then Mortal Kombat 10 or X and then Mortal Kombat 11, the story modes in these are just fun to watch. They're totally stupid. They're totally ridiculous in the best possible way. Lou Raiden, need I say more? Young and old Johnny Cage. I mean, it's just stupid. It's great. I love it. But those videos are totally out. So if you want, you can watch the entire playthrough of the story mode for MK11. And there's plenty more stuff to come, so don't worry about that. Old and new. And if you're a new subscriber, if you're a new watcher to the channel, I do unlock videos every Wednesday and Saturday, pretty much guaranteed. Wednesday and Saturday, you can expect new content. And I also generally have maybe a bonus video or two some other days throughout the week. So like lately, I have been doing these mixer archives. I do mixer streams at mixer.com/BGFH, usually on weekends. But they only last, a couple of weeks at Mixer itself. So if they do record properly, I will upload those streams up to YouTube so you can watch them here as well under the Mixer, Illegally Cited Mixer playlist. So you can check those out. And usually if there's some event or something really exciting happening in the realm of game or technology accessibility, that might be a bonus video too, or maybe a holiday, or maybe just because. So definitely check those out. But Wednesday or Saturday, they're generally going to have videos and then maybe a little more. So that is kind of the schedule for unlocking content on the channel. Everything is divided into playlists, so if you're new, definitely check them out. There's a lot of variety here. And there you go. And speaking of new subscribers, again, thank you to everybody who has been checking out the channel, who has been subscribing and liking the videos and commenting and even giving a few suggestions and ideas on a couple of games to cover, which, again, I've got a lot on my plate right now, but I will definitely try to get to some of those suggestions at some point here in the future. Like I said, I kind of do this as my kind of part-time thing in addition to my day job. So just trying to find enough time to get through all this stuff. But yes, thank you to everybody who has been stopping by and everyone who has been watching the channel. I don't remember when I last checked or when we hit 1,500 subscribers, but we're at 1,565. So we're just shooting right along here. We're moving right along, and be interesting to see when we actually hit 1,600, which may not be that far away. So yeah, thank you again, and hope you guys enjoy the channel. A few things I just wanted to kind of touch on for this month's kind of a channel update and other stuff video. Get a couple of the kind of the weird things out of the way first. Just talk a little bit about a couple of weird gaming news things that I've just kind of, everyone seems to have been talking about, and it's just kind of amusing and sad at the same time, just because of how people are reacting, because it is the internet, people can be just anonymous dinks. So about a week and a half ago, or I don't know, a week ago, whatever, they had the Sonic the Hedgehog movie trailer, the actual first real live action one, which, hang on, let me go back here. Yeah, so I just wanted to pull up some images of the live action. Yes, it is a live action CG Sonic the Hedgehog, and he, admittedly, yeah, he looks pretty gnarly. Let me zoom in with the old magnifier here just so you guys can see if you're low vision. The screenshot there where he has like teeth. Let me see. I think there's a clear one. That one, he looks kind of like a stuffed animal. He kind of looks like a chia pet, like a chia pet demon. This one here just rah. He's got these like I don't know. I don't even know how to describe that. It's like kind of like a surreal, he's just surreal and creepy. I don't know. It's funny, but it's weird. And then that one, he just looks pissed. Just like all serious, just running toward the camera. But yeah, so that is the live action Sonic. And, people are just having a whole shit fit about like, oh my God, it looks so terrible and it's awful. And what were they thinking? And, rah, 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 rah. And then the studio comes back and says, well, we know we've heard a lot of the feedback. We're going to try to, redo the character and, make him look better for the final release this fall. And I'm thinking, man, for a live action movie where you have to basically redo, I don't know to what degree they're going to redo it or adjust the character, but people complain about how long and weird the legs are, or the face, the teeth. There's just all kinds of complaints. The hands, and there's no gloves, like the white gloves that Sonic has. Just anything they can complain about, they can. Does he look kind of weird and creepy and weird? Yeah, totally. But I went into this knowing that, this was just going to be probably a bad movie. But one of those that, as a gamer, you kind of just, those train wrecks were like, you kind of have to see it anyway, just to see how messed up and crazy and bad it is. Like, will I go to see it in the theater? Probably not. But when it comes out on video, when it comes out, so I can either rent or buy the digital release, I'm sure I'll take a look at it just because I want to see, again, just how ridiculous it is. I don't know. And, and I guess people are comparing it to Detective Pikachu, which I'm not a Pokemon fan. I don't know. I know so little about Pokemon. I've learned a couple of the creatures from Pokemon Go in the brief time I tried that, but like I have no real love for the series. I have not much knowledge for it, but with Ryan Reynolds and stuff, again, I don't think I'll go see it in the theaters, but I kind of want to see Detective Pikachu just because the trailers looked amusing, and it just had this weird like PG self-aware Deadpool Pikachu thing that just I kind of want to see where that goes. But Sonic, I don't know. Like I said, I mean, it's for little kids primarily. I mean, I know longtime gamers would want it to be a certain thing too, but I don't know how much time they're really going to have to basically change this Sonic the Hedgehog, this whole digital model and make it properly interact with the real world and stuff. I mean, it's not a whole lot of time left. So I just thought that was kind of interesting. Like I said, people just complain about everything. Speaking about another little bit of gaming genre that has been constantly talked about and lately. So there's a little game called Borderlands 3 coming out this September, and I'm actually pretty interested in it. I think it's only coming to the Epic Store to start with, which is, it's okay. I know people have a problem with that because it's not on Steam, and, I mean, yes, I like having one launcher, but at least I'm not having to pay several $100s for different launchers and consoles and things like that. I mean, I'm still on the same PC. Yes, I have to use a different login or I have to run a different launcher. That can be kind of annoying, but whatever. I'm getting over it. And I've played a few Epic games or games on the Epic Store. I've been playing World War Z lately, which I'm gonna have a video for you guys out here probably fairly soon. So yeah, Borderlands 3. It's kind of this looter shooter. You're shooting dudes and they're dropping loot and weapons, and I should really do a video of the original Borderlands just so you guys can kind of see what the game was and what it is, how it started. And it was a really neat thing. Like I said, it was a first-person shooter, but it kind of had these like light RPG elements. You had these little skill trees, and you were getting like literally these combinations of like hundreds of weird weapons that would have different effects and all kinds of stuff. And so they did a live presentation announcing Borderlands 3 about a week and a half ago. Okay, I watched it, the archive of it, because I was at work at the time when it was live, but I watched the archive, and the game actually looks pretty good. I'm kind of intrigued about it. As a low vision user, there are some issues that I've kind of had with the previous games, just being the fact that you're getting loot every 2 minutes or every 2 seconds, and you're always comparing, oh, okay, is this item or weapon better than this one? Should I bother to pick it up? Should I keep it and sell it? Should I blah, 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 blah? Should I use it? So it's a lot of reading text, and it kind of breaks up the action. Like if you could just, quickly eyeball it and just go, yes or no. But when you have to take the extra time and try to, read all these text boxes and compare things and try to read with low vision, it can be kind of tedious after a while, especially when you have to stop and do that a lot. But really, the game itself actually looks pretty good. The problem is all that people are really talking about is everything around the game. There's this head of Gearbox, Randy Pitchford, and he's been making the news for the past several months for all the wrong reasons. There was some accusations about, like not being paid by some people, or there was some things where I forget the whole gist of it, but like he left a thumb drive at some medieval, like, I don't even remember, some medieval club kind of a thing, and it had underage porn on it or something, and he said there's just all kinds of crazy stuff going on. Well, the latest hubbub, like I said, at the end of this Borderlands 3 presentation, he kind of made it clear. He's like, hey, this is Borderlands 3. We hope you love it. It's coming out this September, and it's going to be, it's going to be a traditional Borderlands game. And we're not going to have all this microtransactions, free-to-play nonsense in it, or pay-to-win nonsense. And people were really happy. I was happy myself. I'm like, okay, great. Because you've heard me complain about the infestation of microtransactions and pay-to-win and timers and all this stuff. Like I said, even Bethesda's a party to it now with their Elder Scrolls Blades. But so then shortly after, there was I think it was a Game Informer article that had come out that was talking about it. And apparently the game will in fact have microtransactions, but they're supposed to be more cosmetic. So you want to customize your character, you might be able to buy. I don't know how it's going to work, if it's going to be some you earn in game, some you have to buy, or if the ones you can buy you can also earn in game if you play it enough or something. I don't know exactly the logistics of how that's going to happen, but they are apparently having some cosmetic microtransactions. But what it appears to be, maybe what he should have said was, we will have some paid cosmetics, but we're not going to implement anything where it's pay to win. You're not going to buy premium weapons that make you do better in the store, or characters, or things that give you a distinct advantage, like an XP experience doubler or something like that. If you would have maybe clarified it that way, and people would, some people would have hated just the fact that it had any microtransactions in it, cosmetic or otherwise. But like I said, for me, I don't do a whole lot with the character customization, anyway. Especially, it's a first-person game. Yes, it's co-op, so other people can see you. So it does make some sense to have some cosmetic variety in there. But, I'm not going to lose sleep over it, because it's like, oh, okay, just let me play the game. I don't want to I have to pay for this certain premium weapon or, ability or character type class that I want. As long as I don't do any of that, I'm kind of okay. But apparently Mr. Pitchford just had a meltdown on Twitter, and he's like, what, literally he was saying, on Twitter, he's like, what the fuck you throw me under the bus for? And why did you write that article? And they just went back and forth, not only with Game Informer, but I guess some other fans that were expressing their displeasure in that whole microtransaction fiasco. And like I said, if he would have handled it basically the way I just described, it would have been fine. But if you're the CEO, or I don't know if he is or not, but if he's the head of the company, you don't just go out there and completely, have a fit about it. Because I know, like I said, some people, you hear the word microtransaction, they'll just turn away immediately. Admittedly, it makes me a little bit gun shy when I hear microtransactions. Like, okay, how are they going to screw me over now? Because it is, like I said, it's infesting mainstream games, AAA games, indie games, mobile games. It's everywhere now. Cosmetics. I remember when the first real piece of DLC came out for the Elder Scrolls Oblivion, it was horse armor, and people lost their ever-loving mind about that. And now we're to the point where, cosmetic microtransactions, that doesn't seem like such an evil offense now, just because everything else is so egregious. Everything else is so awful. So the thing is, everyone else who makes that game, Borderlands 3 actually looks pretty good. And I am interested in playing it. Is it fair to punish all the people that are, keeping their heads down and, working on the game and doing game development stuff and, doing what they should be? And then just, one bad apple, yes, who happens to be making probably the most money and, making the biggest scene, but, is it fair to say, I'm not going to buy the game just because of this idiot? I'll leave that for you to decide, but, it's like I said, a lot of other people, I haven't heard anything else bad about Gearbox. It's really just that one guy. Everyone else seems to be like, oh, hey, we're making a game. We want to make games here. let's do it. So I don't know. I mean, I will maybe check out Borderlands 3, who knows? I should probably look at covering Borderlands 1 on the channel, especially since there is a recent update to the PC version that kind of remasters it a little bit, so a few more bells and whistles and high resolution support and things like that. So, maybe look forward to that in the coming future when I find time to do that. So that's some kind of interesting gaming news stuff. However, I do want to talk about a few other things really fast. Like I said, the last couple of weeks have been super busy. I've been really busy at work, just doing, meetings and appointments and all kinds of other things. So it's been busy there. And then this last week, we've had a couple of events that I didn't even realize were happening until pretty much they started and went, oh, that is this week already. So Monday we had Microsoft Build starting. Tuesday we had Google I/O. And both of these are kind of technology conferences, where Google or Microsoft and Google respectively, they will talk about where they're going and, announce products and services and things like that there. I was in meetings and really busy on Monday, so I didn't get to watch the Microsoft keynote. I did look at a couple of videos and articles after the fact. And like I said, it seems like Microsoft, again, they're keeping up. It's amazing to see how Microsoft is so much more a different company than they were in the late 90s, earlier 2000s. You had this, everyone hated them because they were this, they were this monopolistic, titan that were just bullying everybody, or so everyone said. And now, like I said, Microsoft is just, they're a lot more open. They're huge on accessibility. They're, they're basically getting the users involved in the kind of the creation. And, they just announced Power Toys, which is this cool tool that used to be back in like Windows 95 days. They're bringing that back for people to work on. They're working with Linux. Later this summer, they're basically going to have like some Linux shell inside of Windows, or I don't know the full. I don't understand it fully, but that was one of their sort of announcements this past week, and like I said, it's pretty interesting. I mean, they're just so much more open. It's crazy, and I've been having a lot of fun seeing how their accessibility has just progressed. Narrator, magnifier, low vision things. Like I said, in the May update that's coming later this month. Let me just, oops. Hopefully I typed that right. Yeah, so pointer size. Right now we have 3 options. We have small, large, extra large. We have normal. We have white. We have black. We have inverted, and that's it. Well, in the May update, we're going to be having way more size options. You can make the mouse pointer super ginormous if you want to, and you can also change it into a variety of colors. So what's interesting, especially, they've improved the clarity of magnifier already. It still can get a little pixelated at higher magnification levels, but it's better. But if they can truly get the font smoothing fairly close to what Zoom Text would, there's a lot more people where, especially, you give them, some of the color enhancements that you can do with the color filters. You give them the mouse pointer and pointer size and color and options. There's a couple things that I'm not at liberty to talk about yet that I know are coming. But you give people some of these options, and a lot of people may not need something expensive like Zoom Text or Magic as often. So I love seeing the amount of accessibility and the amount of things that are just being built into Windows and other products itself. Narrators improved drastically too, and there's going to be more updates with that. So yeah, Microsoft is going to be doing a lot of nice things, and excuse me, I'm interested to see where that goes with their, keep updating their versions of Office and their cloud stuff and all their accessibility. Oh man, I read I really hope this does come to pass because I want to see what implementation it takes. I retweeted, there was an article, Microsoft has this patent for, they have the accessibility controller or the adaptive controller right now, but they're actually talking about a Braille controller. So think about it like, it seems like it would be kind of like a regular Xbox controller, but then on the underside or the back of it, you would have, like where your fingers curl under the controller, you would have your three buttons on either side so you could input your 6-dot Braille. And then you could have a small display for reading little menu options or like maybe your health or your miles per hour in a racing game. Or I'm genuinely curious to see how that implementation would work. And if you're listening, Microsoft, if you're gonna do some testing and stuff, yes, I'm low vision, but I do know Braille, and I would be really more than happy to give you some feedback and test it for you. I'm just saying. I'm here, So that's Microsoft. And then Google I/O. On Tuesday, I was at work, but I had a little free time, so I was watching that over lunch. And I'm genuinely intrigued to see where Google goes because they were showing off some really neat stuff with their upcoming revision to their Google Assistant. They're really focused on AI and on-device, not having to go to the internet for everything. A lot of on-device AI. Like their new Google Assistant, they showed some impressive demos where they were talking about like seamlessly going from dictation to giving commands and then back to dictation. So if you're doing an email, say like, send an email to Bob. And then I start talking, okay, I'm sending Bob an email, blah, 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 blah. And then I go, I didn't add a subject. So I think I didn't add a subject. So then I say, set subject to next week's meeting. And then I go start talking about the meeting again or talking in the email. It was smart enough to know that I was dictating and then I was giving commands and then I was dictating again. And they were showing how it would go in between different apps. And like I could say, book an appointment for this and I want to do this thing over here. And it would know, like I didn't have to specifically say, like with current assistants right now, you have to be like, I want to open this skill, and then I want this skill to do the thing, and then this thing to do the thing this way. And like, it's really, you have to learn these weird ways of talking to trigger these skills and features and make it do what you want to. But it was really trying to focus on conversationally doing things and getting things done, which actually made a lot of sense. And, just for being a convenience thing, sure, but I'm looking at this from an accessibility point of view. Think about people who have mobility impairments, just being able to go between dictating and giving commands and really just fully operating and doing major tasks quickly by speaking. If, like I said, again, these were stage demos, so I'm always a little bit skeptical of, okay, how is that going to work in the real world versus what you're, the smoke and light show that you're trying to show me at your conference keynote. But, theoretically, I'll give Google the benefit of the doubt because they've been doing a pretty good job so far as their assistant goes. It's light years ahead of Siri, I'll tell you that. Like I said earlier on Twitter, Siri, Apple should be maybe a little embarrassed and ashamed at how bad. They were the first ones to be like, hey, we have this talking Siri thing on the iPhone 4S. And then, Amazon and Google and Microsoft with Cortana, like all of them just seem better. And like I said with Google, their new assistant is they figured out some way to basically shrink down the AI that they needed to do this dictation, to do all this stuff, and putting it from the cloud onto your device. So you don't have to upload your commands and go back and forth between the internet and your device. You can do it all locally. It'll be safely encrypted and everything. And then they were talking about how you had these, you know, like if they wanted to make the algorithm better, they weren't uploading all of what you said or what you did, but they were uploading just like these key pieces that change. I really don't understand. I really don't know how to explain it. Like when I watched the video, I kind of understood conceptually what they were doing. I just can't explain it very well, but it sounded really interesting. Again, the way that they were using the internet when needed. But like I said, with Apple, you can't even do anything with Siri. You can't do any dictation. You can't do any commands without the internet, which is why I laugh when I always see these blind and visually impaired people trying to use their phone and they do everything by Siri. And I said, no, you have to learn voice over gestures. You have to learn how to use your device because, especially like I said, right now, you can't turn voiceover on or off. You can't adjust a setting. You can't do any basic task. You know, totally turn your internet off, turn your Wi-Fi off, turn all this stuff off. And I dare you to use Siri. It's not going to work. So learn to use your device. I mean, whether it has internet or not should have nothing to do with it. You should just know how to use your device in general. But I'm just saying that, you know, that's another reason to do so. But yeah, I mean, Google, I'm really interested to see where their stuff, where their Google Assistant, where their AI goes. And then they talked about live captioning, where literally you're watching any kind of video and you tap the volume control and there's a little button that turns on these live captions, and using, again, not going up to the cloud, but processing on your device, it live captions any video that you're watching. You know, again, think about deaf and hard of hearing, or if you can see the screen and you're in a noisy environment, or you have to keep the sound down and you want to still be able to, you know, read the dialogue or something. That sounds really, really cool. I want to know how accurate it is, but, you know, I do want to see it. So that's another potential accessibility thing. Then they were talking about, I forget the name of it, I forget the word they used, but, you know, go look, if you have, you know, some kind of a speech impediment, let's say, you know, maybe your voice sounds a little bit different when you talk. And like, if somebody has, like, you know, people say that, oh, people have trouble understanding me for whatever reason. It could be, you know, because, like they talked about people after a stroke, or, you know, if they have some kind of motor difficulty, a motor impairment, or even, let's say, thinking about talking with a really thick foreign accent. Right now, when they're talking about building voice recognition technology, these types of people are not included in building these types of AIs that recognize human speech. So Google is actually trying to fix that and inviting people to, maybe I'll try to see if I can find the link and try to put a link to it in the description below if I can find it. But you can basically volunteer, and like I said, if you have, if you know, like if you have a situation where people have trouble understanding you due to the way you speak, they want to basically have people record their voice so that their AI can basically get more samples and be able to better understand, you know, people that have speech impediments or maybe thick accents or whatever it happens to be, but a lot more variety and variation in voice recognition. So it's not just you have to talk very clearly, I'm going to talk like a robot. You can talk more conversationally. You know, if you maybe slur a couple words together, you have an accent, or you have some kind of a speech impairment, whatever it is. Hopefully that kind of thing won't affect voice recognition as much in the future, should this go the right way. So, I mean, that's just really, really cool. So I was potentially really excited about what Google was doing with all their AI. Now, the other thing that Google did that I'm really tempted to, honestly. We've got the Pixel 3a and the Pixel 3a XL. We've had the Pixel devices in the past for the past few years, but they announced the 3a and the 3a XL this week, and I'm kind of tempted to get the XL because basically they're the same phone as the Pixel 3, but they have a little slower processor, and the screen maybe isn't quite as good. So it's OLED, but it's not maybe quite the same Gorilla Glass or whatever the other one is. And it's, it's got a little bit more of a plasticky back, but it's got the sensors, it's got the same great camera, it's got the same amount of RAM. Like I said, I think those are mainly the two differences for these devices. And the Pixel 3a starts at $399, and the XL is $470 or $479. I forget which. But me being the low vision user, I think the XL would be helpful. And so I don't know. Like I said, I actually turned my Samsung tablet on earlier this week after not using it for a few months, actually. There was an update available, but I'm still running Android 8. They still don't have an upgrade to Pie, and here we got Q coming around the corner. If you're not using a first-party Google device, or these Google One devices, I think they're called, if you're not in this specific narrow program, you're not getting jack for updates. You're just expected to buy a new phone or a new tablet every year or two. I mean, because you're lucky if you get the update 3, 6, 12 months later, if ever. I don't even know if my tablet's ever going to get Pi. It's stupid. And what I was really hoping that Google would say is that we're putting a crackdown on this. You can, if you're going to run our operating system, I wish they would have the balls to do it. I wish they would just say, you know what? Given any technical limitations, to say that, this hardware literally cannot support it, you're supporting our update. If you're going to make a device, you have to support our operating system for 3 years. That, if they would just do that. Oh, the other thing that they did mention too was they are looking at kind of splitting their updates, especially their security updates. They're looking at having those so that they can be updated separately over the air. So you're maybe not getting the full Google update, but you're getting at least the important security and hotfix updates sort of things that regularly come out, and those can be downloaded over the air separately from the operating system, and you don't have to reboot. So you're basically getting, your security and privacy stuff, your critical updates without having to reboot, and maybe you're not going to have to lag behind in that as much. But like I said, I still wish they would just say, you know what, you guys have got to, if you're going to run our operating system, you're going to support it for at least, let's say, 3 years, because it's just not fair. I mean, Apple, the one thing I will say is if you have a phone that it'll support it, you get the update. I mean, they're still supporting the 5S. And when the heck did that come out? Ages ago. So I would guess the 5S is gone in iOS 13. I don't know about the 6s, the 6 or the 6 Plus, but still, that's a nice long span of time. And Google, like I said, you're lucky to get an update, I don't know, a year after. So, but the Pixel 3a and the XL here, they come in black, this white, and they call it purplish. The third color is purplish, which, I didn't care for that one as much, but the black one or whatever, I don't know. Like I said, and I upgraded the tablet, and it wasn't, I still was running an old version of Android. And on top of that, Google's support for tablets just really isn't there the way it is for phones. I try to download some apps, or I tried to download a launcher or a theme, and they're like, oh, this is not compatible with your device or your resolution. I'm like, oh, thanks, great, okay. So it pretty much seems like Google, you have to have a phone for the best optimal experience, because they're just not focused on tablets as much as they should be, despite having a few out there. And Android Q is getting a dark mode, which, like I said, it's getting mighty chilly in here because with Apple in iOS 13, hopefully, and Google Q or Android Q both supporting dark mode, something you never thought would happen on these things. We've been waiting so long for them. Yeah, it's getting a little chilly in here. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And if I were to get one of these, I could, it'll be running Android Pie right now, but you can install the beta for Android Q, which I would probably be apt to do since it's basically a secondary testing device. So I haven't fully decided, but there's been, I would say, 2 to 3 times already this week where I've been really close to hitting this little buy button over here. And you see we've got 2, there's your prices right there. We get the buy button. I'm just going to keep it on this page for later and mull things over a little bit. So you got your 2 things there. You got your white, your black, and your purple-ish. That's what they call it. So, yeah, a lot of things happening at Google through Google I.O. They have this lookout thing, which is sort of kind of a seeing AI sort of a deal, but Google's, you hold your camera in front of stuff, it'll tell you what it is. I don't know a lot about it because I don't have a device that supports it at the moment. There's a couple other odds and ends that I would really like to poke around on Google, especially on a phone versus a big tablet. So, I don't know. Maybe I'll go crazy, and like I said, I just don't know if I really want to spend $400 or $500 on another secondary device, but who knows? I've already got God knows how many tablets sitting on my in my cabinet at work. So what's another phone? I don't know. But yeah, I want to play with that stuff. So like I said, there's a lot more things to come. That's really what. Oh, one more thing I have to talk about this week. Of course, I have to talk about. As I mentioned before, after presenting at GAConf in March and getting the idea from one of my followers here, Riley. She's like, she went to this IGDA meeting, a local chapter where she was from, and I'm like, that's a really good idea. Why didn't I think of that? And I found out I went to go look and see if there was a local chapter in my area, and it turns out there was. And so this past Wednesday, I went to my first IGDA meeting, game developer meeting, and it was a lot of fun. It was actually really interesting, and I think it's something I'm actually going to kind of pursue a little bit more in the future. So, like I said, the past several years I've been working on the channel. I've been working on really focusing on game accessibility, VR accessibility, and so I thought, hey, if I can get connected even with some local game developers, maybe they go off and work for, they start local and then they go, national, international. And, if I'm able to kind of talk to them and, present my side of, or present, the importance of accessibility to the group, hey, all the better. So I went to my first IGDA meeting on Wednesday. It was really fun. Started out, had some pizza and drinks, and I just got to talk to a few people, connect with a couple people, gave out my card to a couple of people. And then they had, usually what they do is during their meeting, they have 2 sessions. They have like a short presentation and then a long presentation. But I guess this time every year, they also have a local college or local university come in, seniors who are graduating, their final game projects that they're developing, they show those to the group. And this time, so there were 6 presentations. There were 6 groups that were presenting games. And it was actually really interesting. And more so, like a lot of the games that I saw, I'm like, I want to play that game. I would really enjoy playing that, I think. And so if I'm able to find or track down some of these games, maybe I will try to look at them, and hey, if I can cover them on the channel, maybe. I won't guarantee it because I don't even remember what some of them were called. But I'm going to poke around and see if I can't figure that out. And and see. But I mean, it was really interesting. They would do a little PowerPoint presentation about, their game and what they did and troubles they had, and some of the artwork and some of the progress that they made. And then they would end their presentation with a live gameplay demo. And like I said, a lot of these were actually really interesting, really fun looking titles, and I would like to try them out. Learned a lot, and yeah, it was just a really fun evening. During the beginning, they even had a short few minutes where people could kind of just stand up and plug something that they were working on. If maybe they were working on some art or an event or a game that they wanted people to look at or something like that. And I thought, you know what, I won't be shy. So I got to stand up there for a minute or two, and I got to talk about not just the channel, but like I said, my work in accessibility, and that if people were interested in making their game more accessible to blind and visually impaired audiences, I'm definitely open to, feel free to contact me with questions. I'm open to consulting. I'm open to testing. I'm open to any of that kind of a thing. During the break, I had my business cards out there so that people could take them if they wanted. I don't know how many people actually did, but hopefully a couple people did. But yeah, I think I'm going to still try to attend more often. And I found out they did confirm they do also have a second meeting in a different location later on in the month that is primarily dedicated to virtual reality. So, that might be another thing that I have to crash. I might have to go check that out. And again, how I've been doing a lot of, I've been talking a lot about VR accessibility, and I've presented on that already. So, I may have to attend that and see what we can work out there as well. And it is possible that in the future, they said they're looking for more presentations, and or presenters, and I was talking to one of the head guys of the group, and yeah, I mean, I could propose some kind of outline, or I might try to propose some sort of an outline or something that I could do. And I may be presenting at one or both of these events. So in the future, so hopefully, maybe if I can find time to set that up, I can get that rolling as well. So yeah, I mean, things are really, really keeping me busy. A lot of stuff going on, and that's kind of an update on the channel, life, accessibility, games, and God knows what else. There's a lot of stuff coming. I will be probably doing some more Mixer stuff on the weekends. Like I said, Wednesdays and Saturdays, regularly updated videos. What else? I know a few of you have, in the comments, have suggested a couple of games in the comments, and I am going to try to get to them sooner rather than later. But like I said, I've got a lot else on my plate and a lot of other things kind of in the queue, so I will try to get to it eventually. But know that I have read your message, and I have filed it away to try to, or I've added it to my list of things to try to take a look at. So letting you know that you have been heard on that. Anyway, I think we're going to wrap it up here. A lot going on, a lot to talk about. Keep it tuned to the channel here. Check out the trailer. Check out that the new videos, that VR, seeing VR thing. Again, that's amazing. We have E3 coming up. We have WWDC coming up. We may have another podcast coming up that I was just recorded last weekend. You never know. So I'll let you know when that happens. But yeah, a lot going on, a lot coming up. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like the video, subscribe, tell other people. If you're a developer and are interested in accessibility, please feel free to get a hold of me. You can find my contact information in the About tab of the channel. Follow me on Twitter at BGFH79, mixer.com/BGFH, or just go to illegallyscited.com. And until next time, I will hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll talk to you guys in the next video. Later.